if let's say that the news doesn't go well,
Yeah.
and we don't hear, because I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I want to throw your brain back to the original animated Spider-Man cartoon.
All right.
That sort of aesthetic. Let's say that Sony does a version of Spider-Man like that.
Mm-hmm.
That original Spider-Man logo, where it's like kind of looks like lightning, and we get all the classic villains in their classic costumes.
Okay.
Right? And then the other thing is, have you ever been to Universal Studios?
Mm-hmm.
And have you ridden the Spider-Man ride?
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a way to do a super campy Spider-Man film, and it's still a very cool way.
Is it still Tom Holland?
Still Tom Holland. We get a classic, it's the Spider-Man suit. Don't do an iteration of it.
Yeah.
Do the Spider-Man suit. Do the Doc Ock suit. Because we've seen costumes work like this for the MCU. I think that if they go that route and they take it tonally the way that the animated show has or did, that then we can get Mrs. Webb.
Okay.
And that's what the big villain that they're setting up for with a Sony.
Is this like a soft reboot of sorts?
It's like a soft reboot. But he's just in New York City and he's just Spider-Man. Like just cut and dry. That's what I'm saying. Like if they can't do anything, do the one Spider-Man property that has never failed anybody. And it's that cartoon. That cartoon is like one of the best iterations of Spider-Man because it's just so pure to the character.
Yeah.
They don't take liberties. It's just Spider-Man. And so that's what I think that if Sony does, and I think that they tried that with Amazing Spider-Man 2, but they were like, we're going to make Electro look different. You know what I mean?
We're going to power him by electric eels.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I'm just imagining like a really campy version of New York City, like, woo, woo, I'm walking here, like, Steam, like, just give us Spider-Man from the comics. If you can't give us anything else, give us the one thing that's always worked for you. That would be my hope and prayer for if Sony does steal him away.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, and I've been like, you know what, Sony, hire me because I could help you. I got a good idea, all right? So we stick with the same kind of tone, all right? And because Sony has said...
The tone that I've pitched or the tone
that it is currently.
Okay. Okay.
And because Sony has said, if this doesn't work out, we're still going to follow kind of like what we've set up, which I have no clue how they do that.
Yeah.
But I think the tone of these movies are very good for Spider-Man, and it gives us good Peter Parker moments, which is really nice. So I think you keep it like that, and we're still going to act like Mysterio revealed his true identity. Okay. So we're setting up for the Sinister Six, but it's going to happen way later. It's not happening in Home Sweet Home. It's happening in fucking, I don't know, a good home thing anymore.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah, so Spider-Man Sweet Home Alabama, that's when we get Sinister Six. Okay. So this one, we've got to completely get rid of like smart suits.
Okay. Just spandex.
Yeah, don't bring the sweatsuit back. I mean, like, it was cool, but it wasn't that cool.
It wasn't cool enough for the final battle, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. It kind of looked like Ben Reilly. That was nice. Good little Easter egg there, but it wasn't that cool. Give us a Spider-Man suit with no extra shit because he has leaned on that so much.
Insta-kill.
Yeah, we don't need that. This movie needs to be all about Peter Parker not learning, but like really getting into that Spider-Man of like, I can do this because I have these skills. Not because I have this fancy fucking suit or anything, which I love, but we can't use them anymore because they are owned by Marvel.
Yeah.
And we got to really pour into this like Breakfast Clubby feel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The only people that he has in his corner are his friends now. So really play into this like high school shit because it's fun and it's cute and
moderately cute.
I think it's cute. It's very high school.
I love Sam Raimi. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm glad you think it's cute.
Oh my God.
I'm glad you have a good time with it.
Yeah. I don't know why you don't, because it's good. But it's fine. We don't have 30-year-olds in high school, so.
That is a very fair point. He was well too old to play.
So really pour into that high school thing, and I say the big villain is Kraven. Mm-hmm. And because we know his identity, he's not hunting Spider-Man. He's hunting Peter Parker.
Ah.
Because we got to put a lot of stress on him being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So make him go after Peter, so that he is forced to beat Kraven as Peter Parker. And
Kraven is who again?
You know that guy. He's from Wakanda, and he's just he's like a big game hunter.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "I've killed everything, so now I must kill man."
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess I just I'm not as passionate about the character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more about the films themselves, and I think that.
What do you have against the character?
I don't have anything against the character. I think he's a perfectly well-rounded character. I just don't. I don't really like. I just really don't care for what Marvel's done with him. But I enjoy seeing. I don't really care for what Marvel's done with his solo films. I love seeing him on screen in Civil War. Mm-hmm. I love seeing him on screen in the 2 Avengers films, like the last 2. But I just with the other 2, I mean. The what is the ferry in the first the ferry scene was very, very well done.
Very good.
It was very, very good. It reminded me a lot of the subway scene in Spider-Man 2. Just that, I mean, literally the same iconography of just him, holding webs and keeping something together. But I don't know that overall, I just haven't really enjoyed the 2 solo films. I think that Tom Holland plays so well with the other characters, but Endgame is over, and at the end of the day, if Sony can do something better with a character and they feel like they, it's just one of those things where I kind of flip flop back and forth because, I've seen him in the MCU. Yeah. What if Tom Holland, does a bang up job next to Tom Hardy and getting him?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
I think there's just a little bit of, this is just my theory. I think the way that they're doing Spider-Man MCU wise is because we didn't get an origin story, we are getting a different kind of origin story in that we are watching him become Prime Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And in his peak, that's where we're going. Yeah. And I think that's what they're building up to. So right now he's
27-year-old Spider-Man?
Yeah, that would be sick, Yeah. Did you ever play PS4 Spider-Man?
No, I don't have PS4.
Okay. So the whole thing with that was this game is when he is the best Spider-Man that he will ever be.
Yeah. I saw the trailer. He was working for Oscorp, right? He is working for Oscorp, yeah. I mean, I am debating buying a PS4
It's unbelievable.
Just to play that game.
It's unbelievable.
It looks very fun. Well, the Batman games are my favorite. Open world superhero games where they're contained to their own to a certain city. Primo, baby.
It does very much feel like the Arkham, the fighting style's all the same.
Yeah.
And it does very much feel like that.
Kind of the combo button type things. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that one day we will be able to, universally can be this is a fucking great Spider-Man story.
Yeah.
We just have to get there.
Yeah. And that's all I want. I think that this swapping of hands and whatever is just, it's kind of, it's not fair to the character of Spider-Man. And again, I like Spider-Man. I love seeing him on screen with other characters. The solo films have yet to go, whoa.
Yeah.
And I think that I've gone whoa at the character before. You know, the moments that he has in Infinity War, those beats are awesome. So I know that they can do it. I just think that in the solo films they're trying to stick with this the trend that they started with Homecoming, and I want my Breakfast Club set in the 80s. You know what I mean? I don't want my teenage coming of age story to happen with a superhero personally, just because it's unrealistic to the genre of a coming of age story. I think, if I want to see a coming of age story, I want to see a coming of age story with someone that I can relate to.
But that's the beautiful thing about Spider-Man. You get this really nice story of duality where he's learning to be a person and a superhero. The whole point of Spider-Man is that he can be anyone and everyone can relate to him. That's from the mouth of Stan Lee, may he rest in peace.
Respect for Stan. I'll wake up for Stan. I'll wake up for Stan. But you want to know why I'm so jaded? And I was going to wait till the end to talk about this.
Because you still can't let go and admit that this current Spider-Man is better than Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
I've seen at that point.
I mean the movies.
No, I will not, because they're not better. I'll tell you this. Far From Home is better than Spider-Man 3. But that's pretty easy.
Have you seen them recently?
Spider-Man 1 and 2? Mm-hmm. Yes, I have, actually.
I don't think they stand as much as people like to think.
I think that Spider-Man 2 does. I'll give you the Spider-Man 1 is I watched it and I was like, this is such an early 2000s movie. Mm-hmm. Such an early 2000s movie. But I'll say the reason I'm jaded is not because of anything that Spider-Man is doing. Is it looks like to me DC might be back on track. And I wanted to wait till the end.
Just with Joker?
Just with Joker, because it looks like they're doing a little universe building. The same theater in the second trailer where he is walking in front of the theater is the same theater from Batman vs. Superman. Now, say that film has its flaws all you want, and it definitely does, no doubt. But I just think that they might be getting back on track.
How does that work, though, because we're rebooting Batman?
And I was going to answer that question as well, because I had thought about it. Whereas even if it's not the same theater, the theater that he walks out of, like the Waynes walk out of, is the same in the comics. Like, it's all modeled after the same thing. So, of course, it's going to look a little similar.
Yeah.
So, it's either, if it is from Batman vs. Superman, I think there will be a cool way. I think that this Joker inspired Jared Leto's Joker, which I think is Robin, Jason Todd, who becomes Red Hood. Mm-hmm. But instead of becoming Red Hood, he becomes this other twisted version of the Joker, which would be really cool. Imagine Joaquin Phoenix doing that to Jared Leto with no makeup on, dressed as Jason Todd. That's primo, baby. That's sexy.
Yeah, that's good.
Want it. But I want, or if it is with Batman being rebooted, please set this Batman movie in the late 80s. That's when Batman, was at his peak, because the 80s was prime time for mobs.
Yeah, I really want Detective Batman.
Like the purple gloves?
Just like
or like Batman like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, well, because I love the Dark Knight trilogy. Mm-hmm. They're really good, but you didn't get a lot of, Batman like, let me check out these fucking ballistics in this wall and like figure out all this shit. Like I can figure out what's going on. It was just like, I'm gonna drop you off a building and break your legs.
See, but you just said the ballistics off the wall. He did that in the movie. He did that in The Dark Knight.
I want more of it.
Oh, okay. That's fair. So I'm just saying that I think that if the Joker does really well, they're going to pull that director for the lineup of the next of this soft reboot. And Matt Reeves is supposedly, Kevin Smith has read the script for this Batman reboot and said it's going to be the best Batman movie of all time.
Give it to me.
Coming fresh off the heels of the Joker doing so well,
Give it to me.
They have to be connected. I need them to be connected.
That would be nice, but I think that they said that this is just standalone.
It can be a just standalone until it makes
Oh yeah,
till
it's
it
about
makes over $1 billion.